Okay, so we can begin. Hello, everybody. How's everybody this morning? Okay, welcome. Really happy to welcome you to the Graduate Institute this morning for our presentation. This is our annual open day, which is coming in the middle of a whole week of virtual activities, online sessions that we're providing as well. So some information you'll be able to get online after the end of the day, and we'll post webinars and online sessions on the website as well. This session is actually being recorded so that people who couldn't make it today can see us. So hello to those. And what I want to do today is divide my presentation into two sections. We'll do a general presentation about the Graduate Institute first, and then we can do a quick run through the application process after that, and if you have any questions. Does that sound like a good plan? Are people in the process of applying and you have some questions about that as well? Yeah? Okay. All right. Just a few housekeeping details. Come on in and have a seat. Just a few housekeeping details. At the end of this presentation, which will run no more than maximum about 50 minutes, my colleagues from the communication department will be outside with a camera, and they would love to get a couple of testimonials from you guys, because we will be producing just a quick video about the day that we'll be able to post as well. Nothing, sensitive or personal, just to kind of see who was here today and get a bit of the reasons why you came and why you're interested and that kind of thing. So if you'd like to have just a very quick interview, just one or two questions, you can stop by on the way out. On the way out, we will also begin one of the two campus tours that's scheduled today. The campus tours are not very long. We don't have, we're not going to show you every single detail of the campus, but we have arranged to take you to our student residence just down the road, where you'll be able to meet with somebody who's in charge there if you have any questions, and also look at an apartment. So we'll do one tour that will leave at 12 o'clock after this, and another one will leave at 3 o'clock from the reception later on in the afternoon, so depending on what else you want to do today. Another piece of housekeeping, my colleague and the head of the Student Services Office, Danielle, is standing there, and she will pass around a sign-up sheet. So if you wouldn't mind just leaving us your details, just so we know who was here today. So that will be passed around in a minute. Okay? So just maybe a show of hands. How many of you have come from overseas today? Anybody? Where did you come from?
Brazil.
From Brazil? Just for this event? No. You're studying in Lausanne? Okay, fantastic. Welcome. How many of you came from Geneva today? Okay. And from other places in Switzerland or nearer? Okay, great. Really happy to have you here. How many of you are interested in doing a master degree? Any doctoral interest? A few, okay. Any parents in the room? No. Okay, great. All right. So, a quick general presentation about the Graduate Institute. We are one of the oldest schools in the world teaching international affairs. This is Geneva, where the League of Nations was founded, and the Graduate Institute was founded around the same time to train public servants and diplomats. And we are pretty much the point school, the go-to school, and the go-to institution when it comes to Swiss foreign policy, to diplomatic affairs, and kind of the diplomatic face of Switzerland, and Geneva in particular, to the outside world. So yeah, we have this long-standing reputation. We have students coming from all over the world and faculty coming from all over the world, and so we are very international. There are, I think it's just important to understand, there are three pillars to the structure of the Graduate Institute. We are here today to talk about our master and PhD programs, but we also have executive education. So the executive education section provides customized degrees for professionals and for organizations. They also provide some courses that also can lead to a master degree qualification. They run the LLM programs, for example, in law. And so they do some, and some shorter term courses and workshops and seminars as well. And they are running an event, a quick open house tomorrow afternoon, and they're also running some online webinars that you'll be able to sign into and watch. And then the third arm of the Institute is the research. So we are very much involved in all kinds of research projects. Our students get involved in those, our faculty get involved in those. Some of them are mandated externally by other organizations and think tanks and NGOs and so on, and they call on our expertise and knowledge to help them produce research. So we're organized into a number of research centers, and you can see that on our website if you're interested. So again, all of these activities kind of enrich one another in this academic environment. So these are the key figures. We have the 7 master degree programs. 5 of them are disciplinary and 2 are interdisciplinary. We'll see a little bit more about that in just a minute. So these are the 2 interdisciplinary master programs, one in international affairs and the other one in development studies. So the particularities of these programs is that students have some of their own required courses, and then they take courses from among the other disciplines that we teach. So it's very, these are very diverse programs. They are the largest programs that we have as well. And in terms of student profiles and what the programs are looking for, it's a slightly wider scope, okay? In terms of the disciplinary or the specialized masters, we have these programs in anthropology and sociology of development, international economics, international relations and political science, international history, and international law. So these are more specialized, as their name indicates. They have a stronger, perhaps theoretical academic foundation, a little bit less focused on applied as opposed to the interdisciplinary ones. And for students who are interested in an academic career or going on into doctoral studies, these would be the programs of choice. It doesn't mean that you cannot do a PhD if you do an interdisciplinary master. You can, but that's a little bit more rare. So you'd have to put forward some convincing arguments to the admission committees at that point. Okay, so slightly more specialized profiles of students in terms of their academic backgrounds here in law, in the social sciences. Okay, so these are the main differences between those 2 offers. These are all 2 years long, so 4 semesters. The last semester is mostly spent writing the master thesis, and so again, preparation for research in the future. The interdisciplinary masters, again, have a slightly stronger focus on applied aspects, and so students there can do an applied research seminar, for example, where they team together with other students, with a supervisor, and they start working on a research project. That's sometimes even mandated by an external organization that, again, needs our knowledge and expertise, but at the level of our students. So that's pretty exciting for our students. They get to work on a real project with a real organization and perhaps even publish their work or present it publicly. We have a lot of exchange opportunities. We have a number of exchange programs. We'll see that in just a minute as well. Internship and work opportunities, we'll look a little bit closer at the career service in a minute. The fast track option I want to mention as well, this is not something that you can apply to at the outset right now, but keep it in mind. It is a way for students to basically try to shave off a year of their program if they're going to go from a disciplinary master to a PhD program directly. So after you've been admitted to the master degree program, a disciplinary master, you can then apply to the fast track option and try to be accepted into the PhD program early. And so the last year of your master degree will double up as the first year of your doctoral degree. Okay, and your master thesis then becomes your PhD thesis proposal. So you're kind of getting double mileage there. It's a very rigorous selection process. Not all of our students who apply will get in. Some students will just have to finish their master degree in 2 years and then start the PhD program. But it is an option that's out there, so keep that in mind. We're going to skip through the videos. If we have time at the very end, we can go back to them, but I invite you to go to our YouTube channel. You'll find all these videos there. But just to leave more time for questions and the discussion at the end, we'll just skip through them right now. These are the PhD programs, so they pretty much build on the disciplinary master programs, except in development economics, which is specific there. Again, a mixture of coursework and seminars, especially in the first year, and then more and more autonomous research and writing. Our doctoral students have access to work to some positions as teaching assistants and as research assistants. Okay. And this is a way also to support funding for your studies, because you do get paid for this work as an assistant. Just a word about the teaching assistants. The Graduate Institute is trying to really build up momentum for the teaching assistant program and recognize that this is not just a way to fund your studies. This is a way for a lot of people to actually set off on an academic teaching career. And so we really want to give these students a good foundation in terms of pedagogical training, how to stand in front of a class and get into some of those particular issues and needs that you will have if you do get into a teaching career. So there will be seminars offered and workshops for people who are interested in that as TAs, as teaching assistants. So I talked earlier about the exchange opportunities. You can find these on our website. This is the exchange program page on our website. So you can see here on the side, there are different resources for exchange programs, and we update this list all the time. So some partnerships have been going on for years, some drop off, and some new ones are added. So it's a very, very dynamic program. And so these are just some of the partnerships that we have currently. Okay, and so you can see that we have partners all over the world. We have them in North America, we have partners in Latin America, other schools in Europe, Africa, especially for people interested in doing development work and studies, and Asia. This is a bit of a cynical comment, but it is important to keep in mind that you keep paying our tuition here when you go abroad for a semester to the partner institutions. So depending on where you go, this might be a pretty sweet deal. But so beyond that, the academic exchange is very, very enriching. We also have inbound students coming from those institutions, and so it's a really great exchange of methods, ways of learning, opening up to a new culture, to a new way of doing things, and really kind of getting the both of the best of all worlds there. These are short programs that we run that are open to you. They're open to anybody. So short summer and winter programs for people who just want kind of a concentrate of knowledge and experience with some of these international organizations, the UN, and a mixture of coursework here as well. And as I said before, the executive education program, these are some of their offers. So you see that the LLM programs are housed there. I know that a lot of students need to know what the difference is between the MA in International Law and the LLM. Anybody wondering about that? Yeah, just a few. So you're welcome to attend the International Law Open House later on today, and there will also be an LLM webinar later in the week that you can watch and you can ask those questions. In a nutshell, the LLM program is more geared toward employment, toward applied aspects of the program. And so most of the people there have a background, if not all, have a background, a bachelor degree in law, and a lot of them are looking to go and practice the law if they're not doing so already. So this is really for, I would say, more geared toward lawyers and people who want to practice. The MA in International Law can also cater to those people, but it's a 2-year program and it has a more academic slant, so the focus is a little bit different. And so the MA in International Law has a stronger academic theoretical foundation in addition to some applied aspects. Okay? Again, more details directly from the 2 different departments. who our students are and what we do to support them. We do offer scholarships and financial aid. Financial aid actually takes two different forms. It can come in the form of tuition reduction to various extents, and it can be in the form of a grant, so money in your pocket to help offset some of the living expenses here in Geneva. This is an expensive city. And so when you apply for admission, we ask you to tell us at the same time if you're interested in applying for financial aid as well, and we'll ask you to submit all the documents. But the evaluation of your academic application for admission is blind to the financial aspects. Okay, so be reassured about that. The professors in the evaluation committees looking at your application do not have access to the financial aid information at this point. Okay, that comes later. But we ask you to submit the documents at the same time just because from an admin point of view, it's a little bit easier to do it that way. And the evaluation of financial aid requests is based first on two aspects, on academic merit and financial need, and the committee will somehow combine those two aspects to try to prioritize the funds that are available for financial aid to those students who need them most, to make sure that we're not giving money to students who otherwise could come anyway, but we're really making a difference to somebody who would not be able to come without the help, but who is a high academic achiever. So just a few words about where our students come from. We are a pretty special school. We're a Swiss school, but about 85% of our students come from overseas. That's not, obviously, that is intentional. We're happy to have a lot of diversity in terms of where our students come from, but we don't put quotas or limitations or target numbers on students coming from different places. I know that this is a question that comes up every year at the open day. Do you limit the number of Swiss students that you take? Because it's not that high. And the answer is no, absolutely not. We're delighted to have Swiss students. We know that they are very well trained and prepared, and we're always happy to look at their applications and if possible, accept those students as well. But we are particular in this landscape in Switzerland and how international we really are. So, you know, a lot of the teaching and the academic activities here take place in English. The students that you have sitting next to you in class probably come from a variety of different places, and that's obviously a very important aspect of how we enrich the academic experience here. In terms of professional prospects, I mentioned earlier the career service that we have. I really want to give them a great plug because they do a great job. Unlike other large universities that have a lot of undergraduate students doing a BA degree that need help getting started in the employment market, our career service is kind of in a privileged situation because they're only working with graduate students who are already a little bit more advanced in terms of what they want to do work-wise, and they really do a fantastic job. So they have open hours where students can come and have them look at their motivation letters and resumes or CVs and get some advice. They will help you devise a job hunting strategy, and they also circulate lists of job postings. So these can be jobs for people who just need to earn some money that have nothing to do with what they're doing academically, but they're also positions at international organizations, NGOs, think tanks, internships, paid employment, the whole variety, okay? So there's really a huge resource. And they run training workshops all throughout the year, and once a year they do a huge event called Connection, where they bring a lot of potential employers onto campus to interview students and to do roundtable discussions to really give a lot of information about the employment market. So if you're interested in working, and a lot of people are, there's really a lot of resources. I think we heard the statistics at the graduation ceremony at the end of the academic year, and something around, I want to say ballpark, about 80% of our graduates find a job within 6 months of graduation. So that's pretty impressive. And you know, employers are impressed with the quality of our graduates and are happy to provide opportunities for them. The alumni network is very active as well. We have alumni chapters all over the world, and they really are active in organizing events locally and helping newer graduates again, get plugged into and networked with employment opportunities. So a great alumni network there. Some big names, some high profile, some important international organizations are on the list of what our alumni are doing today. A lot of you know Geneva, so we're not going to go into this in great detail. You know what a great city this is if you're interested in diplomacy, in international affairs, in having an international outlook in general. Whether it's private sector or third sector or public, there's a lot of headquarters, a lot of decisions get made in Geneva. Multinational companies have their headquarters here as well. So again, a whole variety of opportunities for our students. I love this picture because it really, I think, brings home the notion of where we are located and how central we are to this international city. At this point, we're running over 400 events per year. So not 100, like it said on my last slide, but more than an event every single day. And these include conferences and roundtable discussions and book launches and films and debates, all in the same area of international relations, international affairs, the international economy, and so on and so forth, in the areas that are related to what we do here at the Institute. I didn't mention the campus, the Maison de la Paix campus where you are now, where we only occupy about a building and a half, and the other buildings are occupied by partners that, again, are all active in the same areas. So humanitarian work, demining, all kinds of think tanks and research and security policy. So all of these people are partners for the events as well, and it's really just an incredible wealth of networking opportunities and extracurricular opportunities for our students here on campus. Okay, so at this point, do you already have any questions about the Institute in general, about our programs, the students, anything else? Yes. You need to speak into the microphone so that we can record the session.
Hi. Okay. I just had a quick question regarding the exchange program. I was wondering just how common it is and how difficult it is to get into, the school you want to do an exchange with.
Okay, my colleague from the exchange programs did a webinar yesterday that will be posted on the website, so you can get that information more specifically. I don't have a number in my head. Not everybody does an exchange program, and there is a selection process. So I don't think it's horrendously difficult to get in, but you do need to put in an application. It's more like a question of how many places are available by comparison to how many students want to get into that particular institution. Yep. Wait for the mic.
Regarding the exchange program, if we pass one semester abroad, when we come back, could we do the equivalent of the credits we do abroad?
Right, so when you do the semester abroad at the exchange partner, the nature of the partnership means that your credits will be recognized back here. So you don't have to catch them up.
Okay. So
Okay, you complete those credits at the partner institution and then you transfer them back into our curriculum here.
okay, so for example, I wouldn't need to stay here 2 years and a half. I
No.
could. So,
No, it doesn't make your program here any longer.
thank you.
Thank you for the presentation, and I would like to ask about the funding opportunities if you're not awarded a scholarship. Where can you get funding, for example? Can you take a loan for Swiss bank, or you have to take from your national banks? Just if you could elaborate more on that.
A little bit. It really depends on your individual circumstances. We did post on our website, I won't show you now, but you can find it. There is a database that's searchable by country of funding opportunities per country that we are aware of. Now, we're not aware of all the opportunities out there. You may know, coming from your own country, what's available there. Okay, so some governments have scholarship schemes where they support students going to study abroad, for example, so you need to research that in your own country. If you're already working, your employer might provide some funding and support for you to continue your education and get additional qualifications. And like you said, banks might be able to provide loans. I absolutely cannot tell you if you will qualify for one. Obviously, that's something that each bank will decide, and it depends on the relationship that you have with your bank. But that is another possibility. American students, by and large, that's a popular way of funding studies in the US, for example. Less so, I think, in continental Europe, but there might be loan opportunities as well. So I think that's a really valid point. Not to put all your eggs in one basket and just pray and count and hope that the Graduate Institute will provide that package of financial aid, because we don't have enough funds to go around everybody who deserves them and everybody who needs them. So we have to start prioritizing and making some difficult decisions there. So by all means, do look for other sources of funding and let us know that you've done so. It shows that you are proactive, that you are taking this into your own hands. And it shows the scholarship committee that you are not just sitting there passively waiting for the money to fall down on you, but that you're actually going after some other opportunities. Okay? All right, so if you guys don't have other questions, we can go into the application process. So there's a summary here, and then I can take you through a sample application form. So these are the general admission criteria. Basically, we are selective and competitive, and on the whole, the Institute takes about a third of all its applicants every year. That's going to vary a little bit by department, but that kind of gives you a sense of the overall. So we always say to students, if you did not get in, it doesn't mean that your application is a bad one. It means that 2/3 of the applicant pool didn't get in this year, and that a third of applicants scored or came in ahead of you. And so that's just the way that the applicant pool presents itself every year. It's going to be made up of different individuals each year. So that's kind of in general. We do give priority to your academic preparation. So we're going to look at where you studied and especially what you studied. So, international law, social sciences, and related areas. That is the typical academic profile of our applicants. And we will look at the grades, not every single detail of your bachelor degree record, obviously, and we will look at the average, but obviously we're going to be looking for the grades in those courses that are related to what you want to study here. So if you're applying for international law, we want to see that you have good grades in law. That's kind of sounds kind of basic and obvious. Other ways to assess your academic preparation is with the letters of recommendation. These are important as well. Make sure that you pick referees who know you as a student, if possible, who have something meaningful to say about your academic skills. Maybe they have some examples or project that you worked with them on, or something that they can say meaningfully about your skills as a student. I know that in some public universities in Switzerland and elsewhere, sometimes you don't have a lot of individual contact with any particular professor. That's okay. Maybe there's a teaching assistant that you worked with, or maybe the professor can give us some more general information. But we are looking for 2 academic recommendations. You can then add a third one, or even more, if you have pertinent professional experience, and a supervisor in that environment can also give you a recommendation. Why not? Again, especially if the work that you did was relevant to what you want to study, if it was field work or something in a related field. So that's really the most important. The letter of motivation is important. I wanted to say a quick word about that. Remember that our evaluation committees are going to be reading a lot of applications every day in the reading period, and the letter of motivation is where you can really set yourself apart and make them pay attention. So make sure that your letter of motivation tells an interesting story, points out what's really special about you and about your academic background. If there is anything else in your application file that you want them to pay attention to, that you want them to notice, the field work that you did, the special research, the project that you wrote, something like that, you can use the motivation letter to point their attention to it. Okay, so make it stand out. There's a question, yeah. Is there a page limit to the motivation letter? No, but there is a limit to the attention span of the readers. So be mindful of that. Okay, I would say that going over, if you're nearing 2 pages, you probably don't want to go any longer. A page would be great, a page and a half, but Yes, and if you're applying for a program in economics, you do want to make sure that you've signed up to do the graduate record examination, the GRE, because that is a requirement for economists. So this is the application procedure. Complete the application form. It's only online. There's no other way to do it. You need to upload all the supporting documents online, and be careful because we put, but the system puts a limit on the size of each file. It has to be in PDF, otherwise it won't be accepted, so make sure that you prep all your documents in advance. And these are the deadlines. So that one of the early bird deadline is actually today. You have until midnight to meet the early bird deadline. That's just how it happened in the calendar. But that's not for the interdisciplinary masters. And then 15th of January is the general deadline for everybody. Is there anybody who's actually submitting an application in the early bird deadline today? One up there? Only one? Okay. What might happen to your, yeah?
Does it make a difference to apply early or late?
Does it make a difference to which deadline you apply? Well, not really, but I'll give you a quick answer to that. The early bird deadline is a much smaller applicant pool. We're only looking at fewer applications at this point, and it's only for the disciplinary programs, not for the interdisciplinary ones. What happens in this deadline is that the admission committees will very quickly set aside the files that are really not acceptable at all, and they'll make a quick decision there not to accept. They will also be able to set aside the really, really excellent files where they're absolutely certain that no matter what, they want those students, and they'll be able to make quick accept decisions on those ones. Okay, so these two categories of students will get their admission decisions in mid-January. And the scholarship committee, the application aid, financial aid committee will meet in early January already to look at the financial aid applications from those admitted students. Okay, everybody else that's kind of in the middle, some of the evaluation committees might say, well, I'm not ready to make a decision now because our selection process is competitive. I want to wait and see how these applicants actually relate to the entire applicant pool. And so they will actually wait until January when all the applications come in, and only then they will evaluate those files and make a decision. So you might end up at that point with a letter that says that your file has been transferred from November to January. Okay, and that happens to a number of files every year. It doesn't mean that your chances are lesser of being admitted. It just means that we weren't ready to make a quick decision either way in the early bird deadline. There is also going to be this year a late application deadline. Okay, I hope none of you will need it because you will all apply either in the early bird or in January. But just FYI that we will be accepting applications all the way through to the 1st of March this year. So that's just something that I think you need to keep in mind. But if possible, we would prefer to see your applications by the 15th of January with everybody else. Okay, and then you get access to a follow-up module where you can monitor any documents that are missing, any messages that we need to convey to you, and eventually the actual letter containing the decision. Was a question there?
I was wondering if you're thinking of coming here in like a year or two, do you have to apply then, or is it possible to apply now and then keep the application, or?
Okay, so the applications that are open now are for students who want to start their studies in September 2017. If you want to start your studies later than that, in 2018, you'll need to wait until next September when we open the new application cycle and apply then. We do not defer applications. Okay, so you can't make a deferred application.
Does the follow-up section also apply to students who are applying for a scholarship? Like, can you, because I understand that you have to apply for a scholarship and you cannot apply for the regular program.
Right. So the
like
two
anyone else.
processes are separate, but we do ask you to submit all the documents at the same time, and the follow-up module will be used also to let you know if your scholarship documents are missing. So if we need any extra documents, we'll use that as well.
I was wondering what were the acceptance rates for PhD programs?
I cannot really give you the detail per program because we have too many of them. So the only thing I can tell you right now in general is for the entire institute, it's about 1 out of 3. But for individual programs, you can try to ask the departments directly if you go to their open house sessions this afternoon. But I can't really give you that kind of number for each of our programs right now.
Well, hi, I got 2 questions. The first one regarding the language requirements. When are you exempted from providing a language certificate?
Okay, so we don't require you to document any other language apart from English at this point. That is absolutely required in the application process. So we want either an IELTS or a TOEFL or Cambridge or something like that. If you have studied previously in an English-speaking university full-time for at least a year, okay, then we probably don't, and you did well, then we probably don't need you to further document your language skills. Otherwise, we do.
Do also Swiss universities with English-speaking programs qualify as that?
If the entire program was taught in English, and it was full-time, and it was for at least a year, that's okay. Otherwise, we do need you to document.
Okay, thanks. And my second question would be regarding grade averages. Can you use a GRE to compensate for a not so good grade average?
This is a good and valid question. But we do give priority to your academic preparation. The GRE is not academic preparation. That's just a snapshot of especially your quantitative skills. That's really what they're looking for in economics. They're not using it so much for your writing ability. And that just gives us a snapshot of your math, and and also will let them know if you need any remedial courses in the quantitative analysis side. But it doesn't speak to your ability as a student generally, nor to your academic foundation in that particular subject.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question regarding the letter of recommendation, because if I have understood correctly, we won't submit the letters, but it's going to be the Goethe Institute who will get in contact with the professors.
Right. What happens is that on your application form, you give us the contact details of your referees, and an email is sent to them automatically to say, so-and-so has submitted an application to the Graduate Institute, you need to please, and they gave us your details, and you need to please send us a letter of recommendation. Okay. So the letter of recommendation must come directly from the referee. We will not take it from the student. Okay? And it needs to be from an email address that we can recognize as being their professional address. Okay? Usually it will have the university's name or abbreviation somewhere in the email address, if at all possible, not like a Gmail or a Yahoo, a personal one. And it must be on official letterhead from the university, and it must be signed.
Okay, and is there a structure required, or
no.
just
so
a letter of recommendation?
It's not a form that we give them to fill in, and we don't really have anything prescriptive to say about what they have to write, except something meaningful about you as a student.
Yeah, of course. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yes, hi. I have 2 questions. One of them actually is kind of also letter of recommendations related. For the PhD program, would you advise to have 2 letters of recommendation from your latest degree, so your master's degree, or could you have one from your undergraduate degree as well to sort of show your progression?
I think both options are valid. Could you send in 3? You know, that's another option. I think it's really a choice that you need to make. What would be most useful to the committee? You could argue, like you said, that BA to MA shows your progression through the curriculum, or you could argue that 2 from the master degree are more relevant to what you're going to do immediately afterwards as a doctoral student. So it's, you know, I think you know better. You know best.
And my second question was regarding the entry requirement, especially the masters, of having a master's requirement, because I heard yesterday in one of the webinars that you needed a 2-year master's to sort of be able to apply. But I also understood reading the websites that having a master and a completed master thesis should be enough. So I kind of wondered.
Generally speaking, to get into to be considered to one of our PhD programs, we are looking for a 2-year master degree.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If you don't have a 2-year master degree, you have a 1-year master degree, but you have a great thesis proposal and great recommendations and great field experience and whatever, you could still try to submit an application and see if those extras would compensate. But keep in mind that it's really the academic foundation, the academic preparation, that's the most important aspect of your application.
Thank you. For the PhD proposal, is it important to contact a professor prior to submitting the PhD proposal, or just I submit it on my own?
It's actually important not to
hypothesis?
contact the professors because they really do not have the resources to converse with students who are not admitted yet. That's our job in the admission office, and they will begin those conversations after students have been admitted and after they have deposited and confirmed that they are coming. At that point, these conversations can begin to take place, but not prior.
I have a question also regarding the referees. You said previously in Switzerland we don't really have personal contact with professor. Do you give more value if it's a letter coming from an assistant or a professor? Or?
It's difficult to say. I think it's important for the person who is giving you the reference to be able to speak meaningfully about you as a student. So if the professor is somebody that you saw from afar and never actually had, and never worked with, then there's not that much substantial information they can give us about you as a student, whereas the teaching assistant might. So again, I think you know best who is well placed to speak. The professor might still be able to say something about your results. They've evaluated your work. They might be very knowledgeable in the field and well known, and they might be able to say something meaningful about how well you are prepared to do additional work in that field, for example. So again, there's no reason why you should be able to submit both. But put yourself in the place of the people evaluating your application and try to figure out what's going to be more meaningful to them.
I have another question. Let's say you're a law student and you already have a Master of Law, but you would be interested in getting another master's in international relations or political science. Is that something that is possible, or?
Yeah, that's absolutely possible. Again, you will want to make sure in your application that you tell us why this is important to you. I mentioned the importance of the motivation letter, the cover letter earlier on, and I want to come back to that. That's really the place for you to tell us why you have picked us and why you've picked this particular program over all the other options that are now open to you. And so we also want to see that you have understood what we are about and what sets this program apart from other programs, and that you can convince us that this is the one that best matches your interests and your plans. And so if you have a background in law, but now you're looking to go into another field or whatever, so it's really up to you to explain why this program would be the right one for you to do now. Yeah?
What about a letter of recommendation from an employer? Is
Yeah,
it possible?
It's absolutely possible, in addition to. So if you have no academic letter of recommendation, only professional ones, that makes for a slightly weaker application file than an application that has solid academic recommendations and also testifies to relevant professional experience. Okay, I don't see any other hands going up. Yes?
It's actually about the language certificates. Does it have to be done in the last 2 years or something like that?
Strictly speaking, no. Not necessarily, although it's true that a TOEFL score, for example, is not valid forever. So it needs to still be valid within the scope of the score that you're providing.
Okay, but the Cambridge, they're valid forever? Or?
Yeah, so that would be okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello. For PhD program, do you need GRE that we submit for PhD program?
In economics.
In economics, yeah. And should we submit the grades with the application?
Right, normally the GRE would send us your score report directly. So you need to request that.
But for other PhD fields, not in economics?
We don't need a GRE for any other program except economics.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do you want to quickly see what the application looks like? You already know? Okay. Okay, so that was the end of my general presentation. Do you want to quickly run through the application? Maybe let's see a show of hands. I see a few people nodding. Okay. So. Okay, so this is what the application form will look like. To get to it, you want to go to our website, to the admission pages, so application, and then down here you can click and open the link to the online application form. Okay, and you've noticed we make you read through a lot of information before you get to it. So once you open it, this is what it will look like. It might be a little emptier up here. I've already pre-filled mine in, so I could show it to you quickly. So you get a lot of information to begin with about the different deadlines and everything. And I'm just going to whiz through this because we're pretty much at the end of our allocated time and they need the room. But I just wanted to have a sense of what it looks like. So you will need to create an account, which will only be valid during the application phase. Okay, and this is what will happen when you start filling it in. So personal information here. There are fields like this that are a little bit annoying. If you don't have any children and you leave this blank, it won't let you carry on. And so if that happens every once in a while, just leave a 0 or something. Just make sure that you don't leave things blank. The system doesn't like that. Okay, some of the information here we need to collect for purely administrative and statistical reasons. It means nothing to the actual evaluation. Okay, in fact, the evaluators will not see information that is not relevant to them, but there are some details that we need to have because we have reporting duties to statistics at the federal level and blah, blah, blah. So don't be scared of all the millions of fields of information that we ask you to fill in. Okay, so stop me if there's anything that looks unclear that you need me to come back to. So in the webinar yesterday, a lot of people wanted to know, is it possible to apply to 2 programs at the same time, right? No, you have to make a choice at this point and tell us which program, which single program you're interested in applying to. And you'll notice here that if you are interested in one of the executive education programs, we actually take you out of this process and send you over to the LLM, to executive education, because they do their own evaluation process. It's separate from ours. So this is where you make that particular choice. Okay, additional information. So if you are interested in one of our dual degrees, then you will click here and that will take you to a separate page that asks you to select those. I'm not sure that anybody here today would be interested in those because they are very specific to those established partnerships. But if so, raise your hand. Okay, and we already tried to prep you here and tell you what you need to prepare. So make sure that you prepare all your documents in advance. And I've done that here in a little folder with fake documents for my application. You can see that I've converted all of them into PDF files except for my photo, which has to be JPEG. Okay, and I've also size them so that they will be the right size, because if they're too large, the system won't accept them. So this is what I suggest that you do, is that you prepare all of this in a little folder in advance, and then you know exactly where to go to get your documents when you need to upload them, and you don't get stuck. Okay, your address. Very important here, the system won't let you fill in just about anything. You'll have to start typing, and then it will make a whole list of suggestions based on what's in the database and what other people have filled in before you. So you can use that. So that's important. It's important to fill in the postcode as well. Okay, so your permanent address, where you are now, and your mailing address. You might be studying overseas, right? Somebody said that they are from Brazil but studying in Lausanne. So typically your permanent address is in Brazil, but your mailing address right now is in Lausanne. This is purely for our own knowledge and statistics. We would like to know who our peers are, where you're cross-applying, but you can leave this blank if you choose. It would be interesting for us to know where our applicants are cross-applying. This is important. You need to fill in all the information about your previous degrees and previous education. When you fill in the names of universities, please be a little bit patient with the system. It's really important for us that you pick the right name, because otherwise it makes a mess. If you really cannot find your university here, then you can click on Other and then hand type it, and we will try to clean it up later. And all of these are in English now. So if you went to the University of Geneva, you need to fill in University of Geneva, not Université de Genève. That's purely from our own database point of view. Okay? Any previous achievements that you want the evaluation committee to be aware of? If you don't have any, that's okay. But if you do, make sure that you show them to us. This is where you document your language proficiency. And this is where you self-evaluate your French language skills. This is not something that goes on into the evaluation of your application, but it will become important later on if you are admitted and if you come. If you are a total beginner in French, then we will suggest that you come a little bit before the term begins and do some intensive French classes. If you are not quite a beginner, we will sign you up to beginner intermediary level courses throughout your first year. So that's just important for us to know as we begin to plan those French courses. And this is where you tell us if you already are receiving or have applied to other scholarships. And this is where you also select if you're going to apply to financial aid from the Graduate Institute. If you say no, you skip over the entire financial aid section and go straight to the next section. And once you validate your application, it's very difficult to come back and change that. We have to do some hocus pocus from the admission office in your form. So if you are going to apply for financial aid, this is the time to do it. And this is where we ask you to help us understand your financial situation. And that's really important for the Financial Aid Committee. Like I said, they want to make sure that we're prioritizing funds to those people who need them most. And this is another one of those places where if you leave things blank, the system won't let you continue. So feel free to fill in zeros like I did here. Mm-hmm.
If we come from another country, we should convert?
Right, if you're coming from another country, what did we say here? No, you don't need to convert. You will need to submit a whole bunch. Here you can give the information in Swiss francs, but you'll see later on you will need to submit a whole bunch of documents that document your financial situation, and those can be in the local currency. Okay, you'll need to pay a 100 franc application fee. Normally the system will take you directly to PayPal, and that's the only way to pay the application fee. There are very few countries that don't work with PayPal, and I selected one of those so that I can show you and continue with the application. Okay, so if you're in one of those countries, you'd need to pay by bank transfer and then upload proof of payment. And this is where you fill in your referees. Again, make sure that you do this carefully because it's very difficult to come back later and change it. And this is the email address that the system will use to generate the request for a recommendation letter. Okay, so that needs to be accurate. This is the fun part where you have to start uploading all those documents. So all the ones that have an asterisk next to them are absolutely required. You won't be able to continue without uploading those documents. So this is where I would click. Oh, it doesn't want to let me do it here. Okay, so that's what I uploaded earlier from that little file that I showed you. Okay, we do want to know how you heard about us. That just helps us to understand if our promotion channels are working. Click that you've read everything, that you agree with the terms and conditions, and voila, you can finally validate. Okay, and submit your application. So this needs to happen before midnight on the day of the deadline. And then once that's done, you can go to your follow-up module to see messages, to see required documents, to see what's missing, and eventually to see your admission letter containing the decision. Okay, don't be panicked. We on purpose put a 48-hour delay between any changes made to your application form and what shows up here on the follow-up module to make sure that we're not making mistakes. You know, if we need to go back on something in our own internal checks. So give it a couple of days before you contact us and say, I submitted something and it's not showing up. Okay, I can see Mohamed up there who is helping us to process applications, and he's nodding vigorously. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We check documents. All right, that's the end of my presentation. Do you have any other quick questions about the Institute in general or the application process? We do need to to free up the room.
I had a question regarding the resume format because they look really different, for example, between Switzerland and the US. Is there any specific format you need?
Don't worry about that. We're quite accustomed to working with students from all over the world, whether it's a resume or a CV, whether it has a photo or a date of birth or not, that's fine. We don't need that information to make a decision about your academic qualifications. Don't go anywhere. I do want to introduce one person who's walked in, and that's Andre. So, Andre, you don't have a lot of time, I'm afraid, but I'm sure you can make this quick. Andre is the president of the Graduate Institute Student Association. It's an elected position, and I will let him just introduce himself and say a couple of words. And after that, I will be waiting for you outside. Like I said, we leave on a campus tour, and my colleagues from the communication department also will be happy to get a couple of testimonials from you. Okay, thank you so much, and I hand it over then to Andre.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Andre. I'm a student in the Master International Law program here, so maybe if you are interested in this program, you can also ask me. I am the president of the Student Association, and we are called here GISA, which is Graduate Institute Student Association. We are an association that exists, I believe, more than 50 years and then the two institutes, there were different institutes, they jumped together, and we also became one sole institution. And what we do, we mostly protect students' interests, and we do activities in the students' interests. So we hold assemblies, forums, we make events, we make parties, We also have a website, and I think for you, what is most interesting for you, which you're starting to see how could be your life in Geneva, is to visit our website, which is mygiza.ch. I'm going to put here. So if you visit this website, we have student guides on the website, and I think this can be very useful for you. We have a couple information on application as well, but mostly we have more hints on how to live in Geneva and how to deal with a lot of issues you maybe have in Geneva, like the visa, the residence permit, health insurance, among others. And if you have any questions, you can ask for us in the address which is on the website, giza@graduateinstitute.ch. And I hope you have a good luck on your application. Hope to see you here next year as well.